Okay, guys, these are the notes for Monday and Tuesday, 4-20, and then Tuesday 4-21. So you guys, again, the schedule is going to be, you have one, I'm going to give you notes and homework and assignment for 2 days. So you should have 2 assignments per week. So there should be no excuse for not getting these done, okay? I hope these videos are helping you guys. If there's anything I can improve on, or if you guys need me to slow down or whatever, just let me know, shoot me an email, whatever. Okay. All right, you guys, this is a very, very, very important lesson. Okay, we're just gonna start introducing how to factor. Okay, and that's a huge part of what we do in Algebra and Algebra 2. When we start solving quadratics and things like that, you are going to need to know how to factor. This is by and far the skill that a lot of students lack and have an issue with. So I'm hoping that you guys can really watch these notes. Hopefully they'll help you guys, and by doing the homework, you get a little bit better. I'm telling you guys, the only way to get better at this is just to practice, practice, and practice. Okay, let's review what a factor is. Okay, a factor are 2 numbers that multiply to a product. Okay, so if I said list the factors of 24, okay, 1 times 24, those are 2 factors that multiply to 24. 2 and 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. Okay, so this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 factors. Those are the factors of 24. Okay, if I multiply them together, 1 times 24, I get 24. Okay, notice how I set up the factors. All right, because again, you're gonna have to do this when you factor trinomials. Same thing over here, factors of 12. 1, 12, 2, and 6, 3, and 4. And what I do is just keep on increasing this left-hand column by 1 to see if it has any factors. And this one, this column gets less and less and less. 3 times 4 is 12. Those are all the factors of 12. Okay? All right, let me show you guys another easy way to find the factors using your calculator. All right, this is super simple. If you have a graphing calculator, go to the y equals. All right. See if I can remember how to do this. And you go 54 divided by x. Whatever that number is, this is 54. You're going to divide that by x. Now if I go to the table, look at, you've got 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18. Now 4 is not a factor because it does not go in there evenly. And then 6 and 9. So those are my factors. An easy way to find those factors, okay? So once again, the factors of 54, 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18, and 6 and 9, okay? All right, those are factors. Just to review real quick, when this says to expand using FOIL or extended distributive, whatever word you want to use to multiply those out, remember, you're going to distribute here. It's first times first, x squared, plus 7x, and then inside here, and then last, 5x, 35. So it's going to be x squared plus 35. Now, when you guys start getting good at doing this in your head, really, if you look at the shortcut, like some of you guys like these shortcuts, look at what 5 plus 7 is. 5 plus 7 is 12. 5 times 7 is 35. So look at that. Let's see if that holds true, okay? Now over here, we have a negative and negative. Well, x times x is x squared. Okay, if I add these 2 numbers together, I get what? Negative 12x. And if I multiply those 2 numbers together, I get a positive 35. Okay? So these are all the same numbers or binomials. The signs are just different. So once again, I'm going to go x squared, add these 2 together, and I get negative 2x. I'm going to go ahead and multiply them and get negative 35. Okay, and the last one here is x squared plus 2x minus 35. So the sign does play a big difference. Okay, here we go. factoring. Factoring trinomials. Trinomials, you know that tri means 3 terms. Okay, so we're gonna focus on the C. Now you guys, there's lots of different ways to factor this. I'm gonna show you 2 ways. Okay, I'm gonna show you 2 ways, and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right, one's called the box method. The other's called grouping. Okay. It doesn't really matter what method you use, whatever one works well with you, okay? All right. All right, let's go down here. All right. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, let's see here. Let's see if I can just get, all right. I'm going to use this back of this piece of paper to see if I can help you guys. All right, so let's look at this one. Oops, sorry guys. X squared plus 7x plus 12. This is example A at the bottom. Okay, let me show you what the box method is. All right, so before we do anything, okay, you know that A is 1, B is 7, and C is 12. So A is 1, B is 7, and C is 12. Okay, now you don't have to keep on writing those down every time. However, it's important that you know what A, B, and C are. Okay? All right, so here's, okay, first of all, what we're gonna do is I call this the X box method, okay? X box. All right, so you're gonna make an X. All right, at the top goes A times C, and at the bottom goes B. So if I multiply A times C, that's 12. 1 times 12. And at the bottom is B, so that's 7. Okay? All right, now what I want to do is I want to find 2 numbers, okay, that multiply to 12, that add up to 7. So if I just listed my factors of 12, what 2 numbers multiply to 12 and add to 7? Well, obviously it's 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. If I add them, I get 7. So those are the 2 factors I want to use. Okay, the whole reason why we do this little X part is to find those 2 numbers. All right? Okay, so then I'm gonna go over here, and this is where I'm gonna make that box. You guys have done this before when we multiplied binomials together, but now we're going to do it in reverse. All right, so here we go. Very important. We're filling the box here. All right. In this upper left-hand box, okay, we're going to go x squared and then the 12. So A goes here. This first term goes there. The C term goes there. Now, instead of putting 7x, we're going to use these 2 factors that we came up with. So we've got 3x and 4x. What's nice is it doesn't matter. I could flip-flop those if I really wanted to. It doesn't matter. So now what you're going to do, you are going to find the GCF of each column and each row. All right? Okay, so x squared and 3x both have a GCF. This column has a GCF of x. Okay? This column has a GCF of 4. This row has a GCF of x, and this row has a GCF of 3. Okay, and I'm done. My factors, x plus 3 times x plus 4. Okay, all right, good. I'm done. That's the whole thing right there. All right. So this is x plus 4, x plus 8. If I were to have flip-flopped the 3 and the 4x, I would just flip-flop the 3 and the 4. It does not matter. Okay, but there's my answer. Okay, so understand, we started with my trinomial, and we factored it. Just like if this was the number 24, and this was 4 times 6. Okay, these 2 factors, when I multiply to get, watch this, x times x, x squared, plus 4x inside, plus 3x, plus 12. The 2 middle terms will add up. X plus 12. And that's the same as what I started with up there. Okay, oops, sorry, you guys can't see that. All right, look at that. Okay, so guys, just kind of overview. We took the trinomial and we factored it into those two. This is called the X box. Now let me do the same thing, but let's do it using what we call a grouping method, okay? Some teachers like to show multiple ways, some teachers don't. I like to show multiple ways so you guys can choose what you like and what makes sense to you. All right, same thing, okay? We're going to find those two factors that multiply to 12 and add up to 7. All right? We already know that it's 3 and 4. So this goes 12, and remember, that's 7. Okay, so same step number 1. Just like up here, when we did this, we still have to find those, okay? Now, in grouping, what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this. X squared plus, but instead of writing 7x, we're going to split that up into 3x plus 4x. Now remember, look at it's still 7x. We just split them up, right? And then plus 12. Okay, so in grouping, all I did was I took that middle term and split it into those two numbers that I came up with, those two factors. All right, now we're going to take and we are going to group. This is where the grouping part of it is. We're going to group to make two binomials there, okay? Now look, these two terms have what in common? What's a GCF of this parenthesis here? X. Well, what's left over if I take an X out of each of those? X plus 3. Okay, and then what's a GCF of these two? Well, that's a 4, and I'm left with X plus 3. Now, if you do grouping right, those two parentheses will always be the same. Now, if you look, here's our first factor, and here's our second factor. Done. Okay? All right, so once again, I took this trinomial, and I factored it into those two. Okay, those two binomials. All right. Okay, so let's look at, that was example, what was that? Example A in the front. Okay, so let's look at example B, all right, on page 2, if you guys are following along. All right, same thing. It doesn't matter what method that we use. All right, just trying to find a clean sheet of paper here. All right, so all right, let's take this one right here. All right, now I'm just going to use this piece of paper and rewrite it so you guys have, so I have more room here. G squared plus 7G plus 10. Okay. All right, so let's use the box method first, okay? All right, so I'm gonna make my X. Remember what goes up top here first. It's A times C. So 1 times 10, and then 7. Okay, so I need two numbers that multiply to 10 that add up to 7. I bet you guys can figure that out. What about 2 times 5? Okay, so 2 times 5 is 10, and 2 plus 5 is 7. Good. So we're going to use those two factors. Those are the ones that we're going to use. All right, let's make the box. I think this is more of a visual way for a lot of you guys that like to visually do your math. All right, G squared goes up top, 10 at the bottom. Remember, we're going to use, it doesn't matter, but we're going to use these two. It doesn't matter where we put them. 2G and then 5G. Okay, all right, this column has a GCF of G. This column has a GCF of 5. This row has a GCF of G, and this row has a GCF of 2. Now, going back, okay, to when we multiply binomials, remember, to get the box here, you got to multiply 2 times 5 is 10, g times 5 is 5g. It all works. So there's my answer. G plus 5 and g plus 2. Those are my factors. Done. Now, in the future, there's a lot that we're going to do with those two factors. This is just kind of like the first step into solving a quadratic equation. All right? Okay. Now, once again, let's do the same thing, but let's use the grouping method, okay? Grouping. All right, same one. So g squared plus 7g plus 10. Now, we already know what my two factors are. We're going to use 2 and 5, right? Because we already did that up there. So let's group. So we're going to go g squared plus 2g, 5g plus 10. Remember, I took this 7g and I split it up into those two. And then we are going to group those two together, pull out a GCF, and make sure when I say take out, what that means is you're dividing that GCF out of each of those. So g plus 2, and then this is 5, g plus 2. Remember what I said before, if you do this right, these two parentheses will be the same. So here's my first factor, g plus 5 and g plus 2. Before you ask, because I know you're going to ask, it doesn't matter what order. I could have g plus 2 first and g plus 5 after that, because we're multiplying these, so the order does not matter. But there you go. So look at two different methods, and we got the same exact factors. Okay? Awesome. All right, let's go down here, all right, and look at what happens. The last two that we did, if you notice, the signs are plus and plus, right? Those are the easiest ones to do, okay, when you have a positive middle term and a positive last term. It does make it a little bit more difficult when you start getting into, different signs and things like that. All right, so let's try this one right here. So it's p squared minus 3p minus 18. All right, so we're going to do this one, and we'll do this one together, okay? All right, same thing. I'm going to use the box method. All right, okay, a, which is 1, times negative 18 is negative 18. It's very important that you keep that negative sign there, okay? And then negative 3. As you guys get better at this, you may not have to do this step right here. You may be able to mentally think of those two numbers. But in this case, just go ahead and write out the numbers, okay? So we've got 1 and negative 18, but we also have negative 1 and 18. Very important, because if you add those together, one gives me negative 17, the other one gives me a positive 17, okay? So going through all the factors, it looks like I'm going to use 3 times negative 6. So 3, negative 6. If I multiply them, I get negative 18, and if I add them, I get negative 3. So it fits my puzzle. That's the one I'm going to use. All right. Okay. This is the x part. Now this is the box part, right? So I've got p squared, negative 18, 3p, negative 6p. All right, p and p, because I know that p times p is p squared. P times negative 6 is negative 6p, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. So I've got p minus 6 and p plus 3. There you go. Those are my factors. Okay? All right, one way you can check on your calculator, guys. Watch this. All right, I'm going to take the original. Now I'm going to use x, not p. So x squared minus 3x minus 18. And then I factors, parenthesis, x minus 6, parenthesis, x plus 3. Now, these are the same expressions, okay? If they were functions, they'd be the same functions. So if I go to my table, what you guys should notice, if I zoom in here a little bit, look at, you see how these are identical? They both have the same x term, okay? And they all both have the same y term. So they're identical. That's how I can tell that I have the right factors. All right, that I did it correctly. All right. All right, so I'm hoping this is kind of making a little bit more sense to you guys, or for you guys. All right, okay. We'll do one more here, and then I'll let you guys get started on your homework, okay? All right, if you look at ones like I here, all right, don't freak out because they have an H and a K. What I want you guys to do is just rewrite this. Okay, without the K. We're gonna put that in later. All right, we're gonna put that in later. Now, the last one I did box method, so this one I'll do the grouping method. Okay, so I've got, let's see here, negative 77, and I did two factors that add up to negative 4. Well, let's see here. I know that 7 times 11 is 77, and if I add them up, I need a negative 4. So it's got to be a negative 11. So I'm going to use those two factors. And that, again, you may have to write those out and list all of them before you can pick it out. That's fine. Don't skip that step. All right, here we go. Grouping, okay, is going to be 7H, 11H, minus 77. Okay? All right, I'm going to group these together. And I've got a GCF of H. I'm left with H plus 7. Now notice these both have a negative. So I'm going to pull out a negative 11. And I'm left with H plus 7. Again, those two factors are the same. So I've got H minus 11, H plus 7. Okay, now before I forget, because I almost forgot, okay, we got to go H minus 11K times H plus 7K. So if you notice, I plug that K back in, okay, because there it is in the original one. I got to plug that K in, and now there's my answer. All I had to do was plug the K in at the back end. Now, if you multiplied this out, all right, this is exactly what you'd get. You'd get the original trinomial. Okay, so if you guys see that, just ignore that second variable, factor it out normally, and then don't forget like I almost did, to plug that back in at the end. Okay? All right, guys. All right, so I'm going to wrap that up for the notes. Your homework that you guys are working on, let me see if I can grab it for you guys real quick. It's right here. This is the homework assignment that I will be checking. You guys did a great job last week of taking a picture of your work, all right, so that I can give you guys credit. So you guys, we're gonna do all the way through number 18, all right? Gives you guys a lot of chance to practice and really get that skill of factoring, okay? So once again, look for the one that says day 8. I'll put this in Schoology. This is the one that's going to be due for Monday and Tuesday, all right? Okay, guys, hope you have a great day.